And you solemnly swear to the oath you do nothing but to do to the best of your knowledge, so help you God. You do. For the record, who you calling?
Ma'am, would you state your name?
Johanna Plank.
And ma'am, you're recently divorced from Richard Plank, correct?
Yes.
And Richard is the owner of Hawk Inc. and City Center Complex LLC, correct?
Yes.
And prior to your divorce, how many years were you married?
30 years.
And that marriage was brought pursuant to a settlement agreement with him, was it not?
I'm sorry?
You entered into a settlement agreement with him?
Yes.
And that divvied up the debt and the assets, true?
Yes.
And isn't it true then that in the event that there's a positive recovery for his company in this matter, that you get one half of it?
Yes.
Prior to January the 31st of 2013, the date of your divorce, what was the name on your driver's license?
Johanna Plank.
What was the name on your social security card?
Johanna Alita H. Plank.
In business matters pertaining to your company prior to January the 31st of 2013, you used the name Johanna Plank, right?
For banking purposes, I use Johanna Plank.
And for purposes of executing contracts for your company, you used Johanna Plank. Did you
I
not?
can use Johanna Plank or Joanne Plank.
And that's legally been your name for 25 years, right?
Yes.
And you are the president and sole shareholder of Hawk Enterprises, Inc. Is that true?
Yes.
And you signed probably a multitude of contracts on behalf of that company over the years, have you not?
Yes, I am.
That is, you've signed contracts with the state of Indiana, true?
Yes.
You've signed subcontracts with subcontractors, true?
General contractors, yes.
You've signed contracts with vendors and suppliers, true?
Yes.
And you've done this for, how many years has the company been in existence?
25 years.
Always using the name Plank, correct?
Yes.
Now, you've never had any authority to bind City Center Complex LLC in any of its business dealings, is that correct? Let me ask you a different question because it seems confusing.
It's not confusing. I guess I could explain it.
Well, you've never been an officer of a company, City Center, correct?
Correct.
You've never been a director, correct?
Correct.
You've never been a president, vice president, secretary, or treasurer, correct? You've never been its manager, correct?
Correct.
You're not an owner of that company, correct?
Correct.
And you're not a member of it, correct?
Correct.
If you would, please turn with me in the red book to exhibit 71. Please let me know when you're here.
I'm here.
Turn to page 6 of that document. Is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
And did you sign in a representative capacity?
Yes, I did.
What capacity was that?
I put manager on there.
And you were signing on behalf of what entity?
I was signing on, I don't know what this is for. Let me see.
Let's go through that. This exhibit 71. This is a lease between Jai Betty, tenant, and City Center Complex LLC. Correct?
Yes.
And you were signing on behalf of City Center Complex LLC, were you not?
Yes, I was.
And you signed as manager, true?
Yes.
Turn to back page 6 where you signed. Are you there?
Yes.
Look at the paragraph 19, immediately above your signature. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
You see where it says the conditions, covenants, and agreements in this lease shall bind and ensure to the benefit of the tenant and the landlord, and then it goes on.
Yes.
Did you know that provision existed when you signed it?
Yes.
Did you have the authority to bind City Center Complex?
Yes, I did.
You did.
Yes, I did.
Didn't you tell me in your deposition that you didn't think your signature was binding?
I don't believe I said that.
What did you say?
I had the authority to do these leases by the owner, and yes, if I signed it, I absolutely thought it was binding. I didn't say I was a manager. I just said I used the title, and I agree that it's a binding contract.
Look at Exhibit 72.
Okay.
Did you sign that document?
Yes, I did.
Again, using Joanne Plank, correct?
Yes.
You signed as manager of City Center Complex, correct?
Yes, I did.
Look at Exhibit 73, the next exhibit, please. Is this correspondence drafted by you?
Yes, it is.
Again, you signed on behalf of City Center Complex, correct?
Yes, I did.
And there was no meeting at which you were elected to any managerial capacity on behalf of City Center, is that correct?
No,
It's not correct.
no, I don't recall any meeting that I'd be elected manager.
That is, you're not aware of any written documentation
No.
that exists that ever gave you authority to bind City Center Complex, correct?
I just have an oral agreement.
When was that reached?
Obviously, before I started signing contracts for Richard.
Look at Exhibit 74. Did you sign that document
Yes, I did.
as whose account is this drawn on?
It looks like it's Richard's account, and I obviously have signing authority on this account.
You probably co-signatory to that account.
Probably.
Now let's go back to Exhibit 70. And we're going to have to go to base stamp page 1239, which is near the back. Are you there?
Yes.
And you see next to tenant where it says Joanne Waterman, owner?
Yes.
Is that you?
Yes, it is.
On March 1st of 2006, were you still married to Richard Plank?
Yes, I was.
Was your legal name on March 1st, 2006, Joanne Plank?
Yes, it was.
Turn to the next page, please. You signed it as Joanne Waterman, correct?
Yes, I did.
And that was not your legal name at the time, correct?
Correct.
Now turn back to Exhibit 66 with me, please. Are you there?
Yes.
This is a lease that you signed, correct? I'm sorry, I should have given you the opportunity to look. It's on the last page, 1180.
Yes.
And you signed as owner of Hawks Nest Steakhouse, correct?
Yes, I did.
And again, you signed as, this time, Johanna Bonnerman, correct?
Was the other one Joanne?
I think it was.
What number was it?
What number was it?
Yes, please.
7.
70?
It's towards the back.
Yes. That was
Joe-Ann Bonnerman.
Yes.
This is now Johanna Bonnerman,
Yes.
correct? So, it's a different first name, right,
It's
than the other in Exhibit 70. It's spelled different.
spelled differently.
Actually, it's pronounced differently, isn't it?
Yes, it is. They're both my names. I've been Joanne since I was born. So,
Who prepared Exhibit 66?
I'm not sure who did.
Did you prepare it?
As in filling it out?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Explain to me, would you? If you go to page 3 of that document, it's page stamp 11, I'm sorry, it's page 4. Page stamp 1177. Article 1.03. Did you see that?
Yes,
Why did you insert Z Grill into the tenant?
I'm sure that was an oversight. They were probably in there prior to me doing this lease. So that's not really a typo, just an oversight. They were a leasee that year as well.
Now, you have a daughter, do you not?
Yes, I did.
Rachel?
Yes.
She has a new grandchild with her.
Yes.
Bouncing baby boy. And she works for your company, Hawk Enterprises, does she not?
Yes, she does.
And is she still today, or is she on maternity leave right now?
She's still on leave. Well, she comes in to help out a little bit. Just started.
And then up until about 3 or 4 months before she had or went on leave, she was a regular full-time employee, correct?
Yes.
And I think that had been the case since she was around 18 years old, correct?
Yes.
As far as full-time, right?
Yes.
Betty, she worked for your company even before she got out of high school, true?
Yes, she did.
And how old is she now, about 25 or so?
She's 25.
Now, did Hawk Enterprises do work at City Center?
Yes.
How much was their contract for?
I don't know what the original contract amount was. If that's what you're asking me,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Did you enter into a contract?
Yes, I did.
Did you sign a subcontract?
I'm sure I did.
When's the last time you saw it?
7 years ago,
You know how much it was for?
I do not.
You told me in your deposition that when you signed on behalf of City Center Complex that you thought that signature was probably invalid.
I don't think I said that.
What did you say?
I signed on behalf of City Center, and anything I signed with a binding intention.
My approach to witness, Your Honor. We took that deposition back on, looks like January 16th of this year, correct? And we actually did that in my office, true?
Yes.
And before we took your deposition, you took an oath just like you did today, didn't you?
Yes.
You swore to tell the truth, right?
Yes.
And then on page 29, at the top, line 1, remember me asking you this question. And what made you think, since you had no right, title, or interest in City Center Complex, LLC, that you could bind it as a signatory? Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And your answer, the lease is probably not legitimate because I'm not an officer or contracting authority for that company. That was your answer, correct?
And then, let me see, my question was, what made you think? I didn't say that. Can I expound on that?
Well, perhaps I'll cross-examination.
Okay.
I have no further questions.
If you just wanted to expound on an answer, I will give you an opportunity to do so.
Thank you. The deposition was difficult because it had been 7 or 8 years since all these things had happened. And I think we went through 10 minutes of questioning on what did you sign and how did you sign it and when did you sign it and where did you sign it. And I was very confused after 10 minutes of that kind of questioning. For my business, I signed Johanna Plank because I have a signatory contract with my bank. That's with my bank. But for contracts and other issues, whatever I sign it, I'm signing it binding as whoever I am. And that was my intent for Richard, was to get people into the buildings, leases. I was offering something to them, and they accepted it. So it was a binding contract on my part, offering some, and it was a binding contract on them accepting it. I didn't feel anything other than that.
When Mr. Woodward was referring you to Exhibits 71 through 73, where you signed on behalf of City Center, in those instances, were you signing on behalf of City Center at Richard Plank's behest?
Yes, I was.
And he had given you the authority to do that?
Yes, he had.
And did, in fact, those 3, 71, 72, and 73, those contracts that were signed with the respective individuals, did they move in?
Yes, they did.
Okay, so those leases, in fact, were binding and they were fulfilled.
Yes.
Can you tell me, Joanne, what kind of company is Hawk Enterprises?
Hawk Enterprises puts up traffic signals and highway lighting and sign work.
And do you also do general electrical?
And we do general electrical. I mean, it's we're International Electrical Contracting Company. I guess it's the IB&B. I'm trying to think of the words. I'm a little nervous. But yeah, yes, we do.
Okay, so when did Hawk Enterprises do work on the City Center complex project?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And what kind of work did Hawk Enterprises initially plan to do for the project?
Initially, it was the parking lot lighting. There's a lot of underground for that, the conduit foundations and the lighting. So that was the original main contract, I'm sure.
And at some point, did another electrical contractor fail to perform their deal with City Center for indoor electrical work?
Yes.
And did Hawk Enterprises then undertake some additional work?
Yes, we did.
We talked about your leases. Joanna Plank was your name, was your legal name at the time you signed the letter of intent that Mr. Woodward referred you to at, I think it was Exhibit 70 in the red book, toward the back of Exhibit 70?
Yes.
Okay. But you signed Joanne Potterman. Can you tell the jurors, when did you file for divorce with Mr. Plank?
I filed for divorce in February of, getting confused. The lease was signed on the 6th, in February of 06. I'm kidding.
If you need to look at the lease, that's fine. It's toward the back of
Was it 70? I'm sorry, I'm getting confused with the years.
Yeah, it's Exhibit 70 in the red book toward the back. I believe you signed it in March of 2006.
Okay, I'm back. I filed for divorce in February. I think it was, I think the attorney filed it right in the beginning of March. So I was separated from my husband for some time, and I had finally gone to see the lawyer, and I felt a little liberated. So, yeah.
And as part of your separation, and your plan, of course, ultimately was to get divorced. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
And then you ultimately did become divorced.
Yes.
Were you still planning to have a professional relationship with Richard Plank?
Yes, absolutely. We were always very good business partners.
Okay. And were you planning to still own and operate the Hawk's Nest restaurant that you had always planned initially and prior to the separation to run with Rich?
Yes, absolutely. It's been our dream for many years, and we were separating our assets or considering which assets to take, and I was going to take the restaurant banquet facility as part of mine, and he would take the rest of the complex.
And the lease you signed at page 66, I'm sorry, Exhibit 66 in the right binder, if anyone wants to refer to it, you signed that one as Joanna Botterman, correct?
Yes, I did.
And was that the same sort of situation?
Yes, it was. It was, I was kind of separating myself from Richard as his spouse, and I used my maiden name at that time, and I really wasn't sure how I would go forward with my name either. So I did sign it, Johanna Botterman, with the intent that it was a binding contract.
Did you intend to own and operate the Hawk's Nest Steakhouse?
Yes, I did.
And was that also going to be a banquet facility?
Yes.
Were you making plans to run that banquet facility even at that time?
Oh, yes. We had already hired a manager to, I think back in early 05, to organize the banquet hall and facilities, and we started booking the banquet right when we started the dirt work, or even before, on the building. So we had the banquet facilities booked before the building was even up.
Now, we've had a lot of references throughout the trial, and you haven't been here, but to this large Hawk's Nest restaurant sign. I'm not going to drag it back out because you guys have seen it a dozen times. But can you tell me, when was that sign put up on the property, if you can recall?
I'm going to say late fall of
what year?
05. Yeah.
So was that around the time prior to Rich signing any documents with the bank?
Yes, it was. Yeah, we started before that. Yeah.
And where was that sign located on the property?
We had it at the front. It was probably on the easement out front, closest to the road, because we also advertised for job applications on the board. So it was facing traffic coming and going. It was, I remember that because I said, place it this way so everyone could see it when they're driving by. So it's facing north and south, the sign.
So was the point to see it from Broadway?
Oh, yes. The point is to see it when you were driving, yes.
So if you were going to take a picture and have that sign in the photograph, would you have to be on Broadway Street or somewhere beyond it?
You'd have to either be taking a picture from the north in the front or from the south of the front. Yeah, to see it, because it wasn't it wasn't facing the property or out, so, yeah.
So, in other words, you're not going to put it in the middle of an ongoing construction site?
No, it was out of the way, I guess that was the point.
And there's been some discussion about Z Grill being listed as the tenant in your lease at page 66 under section 1.03. Now, you told the jurors you prepared that lease to the extent you input information specific for Hawks Nest, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you prepare the form of that lease, though?
No, I didn't.
Do you know who did?
I'm not sure which attorney. I know I had an attorney do most of the forms, and I'm not sure who did that, or if it was the commercial real estate. I don't remember who did that.
But you don't prepare leases in the course of your business
No,
at Hawk Enterprises?
I don't.
Were there any other signs that were visible from the road for City Center, to your recollection?
Yes, Commercial Advantage was the first realtor we had, and they prepared a sign at least the size of that one, which had the rendering on it and listing what the complex was going to be for, that it was commercial, residential, retail coming or available, with their ad on it, you know, contact Commercial Advantage.
Now, were you familiar with the loan documents in this case at all?
No.
Okay. Are you aware that Rich was responsible for putting equity into the project, as
Yes.
far as what the loan documents concern, though?
No, I wasn't sure the details of it, but I obviously I know that equity has to be inserted, and I'm aware of that. You know, and later on I found out more
Okay.
about it.
And were you aware of that because Rich was putting money into the project?
Yes, it was our joint fund, so we had a lot of money that we started. We started a year before, in early 2004, putting our money in. So, yeah, I was aware of that, and I was keeping track of that.
And during the summer of 2005 through the fall of 2005, were you and Rich putting money into site work and the initial construction of the project?
Yes, we didn't have funding yet, so we put all our money in it, and there were, yes, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes.
Now, in January of 2006, did an official from the city of Portage contact you and Rich about potentially putting a development in Portage that would be similar to City Center?
Yes, they did.
And did you go with Rich to attend meetings in Portage?
Yes, I attended 2 meetings with them.
And can you tell me, did the city of Portage want Rich and City Center Complex to construct the same buildings that were being constructed in Crown Point?
Yes, the city of Portage actually hired urban management company to look into this, and they brought us in to say we want to do the same complex that you guys are doing in Crown Point. So they brought us out to the site. They showed us what they wanted and where they wanted it, and from what I recall, they were going to give us the property to do the buildings on. I mean, they really were very excited about it.
Do you remember how many buildings they wanted Rich to construct?
There was
I'm going to check that as irrelevant, Your Honor.
over 13 buildings.
You know, I think the main issue that's come up that Mr. Woodward's raised, and I know we've talked about the lease and the letter of intent, but I just want to go back to it briefly. The signature of Botterman. Again, had you just filed for divorce?
I just filed for divorce, yes.
Did you ever intend to fool the bank into thinking that you weren't affiliated with Rich?
No, absolutely not. It was a legitimate contract, and it's my maiden name. I'm the person who I am. Yeah, I was sincere.
Now, ultimately, you didn't end up changing your name to Botterman, did you?
No, I didn't.
Was that something that you had considered at a point where this was very early in the filing process?
Yes, I remembered when I first got married, and that was my biggest struggle, was changing my name. So, but I did, and then when I divorced, I thought, wow, I could go back, but I've already been in business for 20-some years, and I thought, I just thought, no, I'll just keep it where I had it.
Does everyone know you professionally as Joanna Plank, since you've been doing business as Hawk Enterprises all these years as Joanna Plank and Joanne Plank?
Yes,
Okay. And your children, of course, have the last name of Plank.
yes,
And you still, even now being divorced from Rich and with him having had a stroke, you still assist Rich, do you not?
oh yes, very much so, I do. Yeah.
Would you say you still have a good relationship with him even though you are divorced?
I've always had a good relationship with him. I mean, our marriage didn't work, and of course there's struggles and sorrow and things like that, but I don't believe in holding animosity. And so, yeah.
Thank you.
Now, I see your letter of intent, exhibit, was it 70 or so? I think that was signed on March the 1st, 2006.
Okay.
Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Well, a certified copy of your petition for dissolution of marriage was after that date. Is that right?
I went to the attorney in February to see her. By the time she filed it, it was probably around the first week of March or so.
So, but technically this newfound freedom had not yet existed, correct?
Oh, yes, it did. He left 4 months before that. So, yeah, it was...
Now, after you had your deposition taken, were you given an errata sheet or something with which you could change your answers if they were incorrect?
Yes,
You didn't change anything.
I don't think I did.
And specifically, do you remember testifying that if someone were to contest these leases and go into court, you were of the opinion that they could break those leases because they were non-binding?
You can sue anybody for anything. I think that's what my understanding is.
Yeah, but didn't you say, in your opinion, they were non-binding because you had no authority to sign?
I don't think I did that because you showed me something that said, did you see this intent? It says this is not a binding contract. And so I said, I guess it's not. I remember seeing that.
Would it help if you saw the question and answer?
Sure.
And we're kind of going back and forth from when you previously testified to. The question was, well, you didn't think you were binding the company. That's what I asked, correct?
Yes.
And then you responded, right? Said, no, it really didn't matter to me, right? I was, no. I mean, if somebody wanted to contest this lease, they could go to court and say, but you're not an officer of the company, you have no authority. And I would have to say, that's true. Your lease is no good.
I guess they could do that.
And that was your testimony then, wasn't it?
Well, after you confused me, yes.
My apologies for the confusion. You have a son by the name of Richard H. Plank?
Yes, I do.
Where was he living in March of 2006?
2006. I don't know.
Sarasota, Florida, perhaps?
That could be.
Can you think of any reason why your husband would submit a letter of intent for a lease for your son, Richard H., to reside at City Center Complex?
We had planned 4 residential buildings, condos in that building. Those were the first ones. Only 2 were built. I had a dozen people on my list that wanted to live above this beautiful new building complex. My children were the first in line. Richard wasn't living permanently in Sarasota, even though that's where he wanted to start a business. But yes, we wanted our children to live there. We wanted to live there. We wanted to be part of it. Yes, he all signed a lease.
And that was true in March of 06, correct?
That could be, yes.
And that was true in May of 06, correct?
It was true in 2005.
And it was true all the way through 2006, isn't that right?
It was
All the way
true
through 2006, that was true, wasn't it?
that he would have liked to have lived there?
Yes, all of it.
Yes.
The whole family, right?
Well,
Except for you, maybe.
except for me, maybe.
Who was the owner of Z-Grill?
Praska, Rayan, and
Todd?
Todd
Pasca?
Praska.
What is the Rock and Roll Diner Inc.?
It's the liquor license. It holds, I guess it's the company that holds the liquor license.
Would it surprise you to learn that Rock and Roll Diner Inc. was doing business as Z-Grill?
No.
Who owns Rock and Roll Diner Inc.?
Richard Plank owned it.
Through an irrevocable trust, isn't that right?
I don't know.
Did you have any ownership interest in it?
No, I did not.
Was that liquor license eventually transferred?
Yes,
To whom?
to Rachel Plank.
This restaurant, you had planned that all the way from 2005, or maybe even 2004, isn't that right?
Yes, it is.
Did it surprise you to learn that Richard signed a letter of intent with Theodore Spiropoulos to put a restaurant in building number 6
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
in January of 2006?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Why not?
There were other people that were interested in the restaurant.
Well, if you had the plan, though, why would he sign the letter of intent for somebody else?
Did Richard sign that?
Well, may I approach?
Yes.
You would recognize Richard's signature at this point, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Is that his signature?
Yes.
And this is a letter of intent?
Yes, it is.
And I marked this as Plaintiff's Exhibit 104. And it's a lease for 24,840 feet, right?
Yeah, it's for the restaurant.
Building six.
Yes.
This is contrary to the plans that you had for so many years, isn't it?
No. He could have been a partner.
Ted,
I guess, yeah.
did you know about him?
I did know about him, yes.
Okay. Well, what was the plan? What was the partnership?
I don't remember.
You can't recall. You sit here today, is that right?
It was, no.
I'd like to move to the introduction of Plaintiff's Exhibit 104.
No objection.
And Exhibit 103.
No objection.
All right, 104, 103 is exhibit is.
Well, we don't have copies at this time, so we'll make copies.
Make copies.
And then insert it later. I don't believe I have any further questions. I'll put these on the desk.
All right. Recross.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Joanne, was Rich leasing a liquor license to the owners of Z Grill for use in that business?
Yes, he was.
And once again, as far as the non-binding signature, every letter of intent or lease that you signed for City Center was in fact effectuated, was it not?
Yes, it was.
Now, you and Rich had separated sometime just prior to February of 2006, correct?
Yes.
And you were living apart.
Yes.
And after 25 years of marriage, things had in fact started changing for you.
Yes.
Okay. So by March of 2006, was your plan still and your hope that you were going to be able to own and operate Hawks Nest Steakhouse as you had always planned to do?
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Is that all?
That's all you got.
And remain seated. The jury may have some questions for you.